Hi, Dr. Ross. So for the Heisenberg uncertainty principle lab, we had two different sources. The first one was a laser. Now that was set to 500 nanometers for its wavelength and 3 micrometers for the spacing between the two slits. There wasn't a change when we changed the intensity from 1 nanowatts to 1 watt. However, when we changed the slit spacing from 3 micrometers to 1 micrometer, there was more lines and diffraction pattern. When we increased the wavelength from 500 to 700 nanometers, there was a change in the number of lines as well as the color. The color went from green to red. We then decreased the intensity of the laser to 1,000 photons per second. Now the pattern remained the same. We then decreased the intensity once again to 100 photons per second. And basically, the observation for that was that we aren't able to predict exactly where each photon is hitting the screen, but we can get an idea of where a collection of those photons are hitting the screen. For the second source, that was an electric gun. Now, the diffraction pattern was very similar to that of the laser, and then we decreased the intensity of that to 10 electrons per second. Now, the observation for that was that the electrons were making the pattern one at a time. So it took longer to make that pattern. And the pattern was very similar to that of the previous experiments. The big observation with that as well is that we aren't able to predict exactly where each electron is hitting the screen, but we can get an idea of where a majority or a collection of these electrons will be going and hitting the screen, just like the previous experiment with the photons.